So we are live. Joydeep, yes, he's also joining. Very good. So we
As
are live
always.
for the post-match.
Where's Veda?
Post-match show. Joydeep and no, Veda's not there. Devashish Sen is there to welcome you, Mr. Mukherjee.
Ashish Sen is the 12th man for the men's team and the women's team. How is that possible?
Both. Not 12th man. He's the lead player. You are
No, I know that. No.
Mr. Sen.
No. What I mean by 12th man is when he is not in the 11, then also he is in the 11.
Correct. That is a good one. That is a good one. Anyway, Gujarat Titans finally stopped in their tracks today by... Let me ask you the question. Gujarat Titans stopped in their tracks by the Sunrisers from Hyderabad. They too are back on track. 2 wins, one against the Chennai Super Kings, one against the Gujarat Titans, 3-3. Now they've lost their first one. Had to happen. Law of averages do catch up in this particular format. Joydeep Mukherjee and Devashish Sen. Joydeep, somewhat strange match. At no point did that innings take off. Hardik batted till the very end. Unfortunately, did not get the requisite number of balls. Here, Williamson, that appeal they did not. Sharma, multiple times the ball went through, the edges went through. Somewhat for the Gujarat Titans wasn't the match that they were expecting. Thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think how often will you get a 16-run first over and end up losing the game by 8 wickets? You won't see that too often. But, I'll also say this, that, when you want a huge innings, you need 2 things. One, you need somebody to take off from ball 1 and others come later on and put the icing on the cake. Or people come at the end and blast their way away. None of the happened. The set batters couldn't get going, and even the ones who came later on, you need somebody to be at a 170, 180 strike rate in about 12, 13 balls. Something like a Nicholas Pooran did for them. That didn't happen, and the set batters also didn't get runs. So it's a strange game. You called it absolutely right. Somehow, it just felt like they were driving with the handbrakes on.
It's a bit of an internet issue with Joydeep. Devashish, I'll ask you a similar question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you watch this game, you're like, wickets round the corner, wickets round the corner, wickets round the corner. I mean, with Abhishek Sharma, you kept feeling that. The Pooran catch didn't go to hand. The Williamson dismissal, they did not ask for the DRS. It was a peculiar one. I mean, you all of a sudden felt, hey, what's going on? I mean, obviously, from the Sunrisers standpoint, they needed that little bit of luck. They had it, and they managed to get it back. They capitalized on the luck. They're now on 2 wins. But for the Gujarat team, the point that Joydeep was making, just that maybe that little bit, something that did not work out tonight.
Yeah, we did discuss in the pre-show that I was the one who said that the Gujarat Titans, if they can post at least 180 plus 10, they had that firepower to restrict, but that was not the case. I think they were at least 15-20 runs short, which proved costly for them. And with due respect to the Sunrisers batsmen, they did give chances. The catches, they had the edges. They got dropped, but still, all the top order batsmen scored some crucial runs. If you notice, right from Abhishek, that start by Kane Williamson and Abhishek Sharma, not losing a wicket in the power play, 42 for no loss, means that proved very crucial for them. And also Kane Williamson at last finally coming good. Obviously he was a bit patchy in his innings, but then he at last did come good. Obviously, we were expecting that he might not open, but that was not the case. He did open, and he led from the front. And towards the end, Nicholas Pooran also played that blinder. Also, that Lockie Ferguson over in the 18th one, wherein he scored a 6 and the 4 on. So it was not a convincing. Obviously, the scorecard do show that Sunrisers were very convincing win, 168 for 2, winning by 8 wickets. But still, I won't say it was just an off day for Gujarat Titans. Buriada.
That's a nice way of putting it. Joydeep, how convinced are you with the Sunrisers? They've now won 2, but the team still doesn't look convincing to me. I mean, No disrespect meant whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because if you just to answer the question, I have to go with Gujarat first. So Wade 19 of 19, Gill 7 of 9, Saidush 11 of 9, Hardik Pandya 50 of 42, Miller 12 of 15, Rahul Tripathi, Rahul Tewatia 6 of 4. Only person Abhinav Manohar 35-21. So with one guy striking at 166 in 21 balls, you're not going to get to 180, 185, which was par for this pitch. So that is where they were short. Now that is par, but when you have such firepower in your batting, you need to be above par. So if somebody from here takes off, if today Hardik had got the hits or anybody else, one person can have a day when it's not hitting the middle of his bat. That is understandable. But as a unit, you cannot do it. Tewatia couldn't get going today, or even Sai Sudarshan couldn't get going today. Manohar did well. Miller usually gets going. He couldn't get going. So they seemed they were stuck, and maybe the bowlers bowled well. And I saw the interview just before coming on the show that Hardik gave, and he said they really bowled at the back end. Now, there must be, he was saying that the pitch was a little too paced. Maybe in the second half, we didn't see any of that because the ball was pinging off the bat. And to answer your question, I think Sunrisers Hyderabad, anytime they get 160, 165, they're in the game. The moment it goes to 185, 190, which we've seen in this IPL, that's when their batting will get tested. Because Kane Williamson then has to play beyond his usual self, what he does, and the rest of the team also. So this will be a little bit be outside their syllabus. If it's in their syllabus, I'll put my money on them. Problem happens when it's outside their syllabus. Then who are the people who you're going to turn to?
Beautiful point. I mean, I think that's what he hit the nail on the head. That 160-65, Williamson will have it under control. Williamson will feel, oh, you know what, I'm good enough. I mean, because that's his masterclass. But the moment it goes to 180, to 9 and over, 9.5, 10 and over, then it becomes a problem for Sunrisers. But, since Marco Jansen came in, Devashish, Marco Jansen, T. Natarajan, all of a sudden that bowling also looks meatier, and especially if Umran Malik strikes length. I mean, he will go wayward, 1 wide 5. That stuff will happen. But the wicket of Wade, some of the balls to Pandya, when he hit Pandya once, he was generating serious pace. So all of a sudden with that Marco Jansen inclusion, their bowling also looks somewhat better.
Absolutely, Bodhiyada. And also, as was the case, as you rightly put Jansen went for only 27 runs, and he did pick that crucial wicket. So, and also Umran Malik, the bouncer hit Hardik the first ball, means it just shook him up. Means obviously he with every match he's showing that he has some raw pace, and if we can nurture him, and then he can be a very, very big asset for India in the coming days. And also talking about
just to add to what Debashi said, it's also the fact that when you hit Hardik Pandya first ball on the grill, it also sends the message to the rest of the batting. It's just not to him. So when I'm in the dressing room and suddenly I see the number one player in my team get hit on the grill, I'm taking a back foot myself. So It's not just the impact that he has, but that ball has, but it has an impact beyond that ball, is what I wanted to add to Devashish's great point.
Abhijit Deshmukh, you were at the ground. Give us a sense. I mean, clearly it was one of those games which could have gone maybe 2 notches higher in terms of quality. Somehow, somewhere, things didn't go to plan. Your thoughts? You were at the ground. You saw it firsthand.
I think today's match was, Sunrisers actually showed the weakness of Gujarat Titans. I mean, see, of course, Gill and Pandya are the star players. So the middle order, it is really the problem. That's where they had a good start. I think in first 5 overs they were about 42. Next 10 overs they were 88. So it was a decent start, but I think the tempo that need to be taken. Even I think at some point of time Pandit played well, but I think he was a little bit slow. But on one side he did well. I think that's where the momentum lost. And I think the start which obviously Williamson and Abhishek Sharma gave, I think that actually changed everything. But I think the point I would like to say is, Sunrisers were winless. They won their first match on Saturday, and now in 3 days they won 2 matches. So I think that's what the mentality does. The first match that they won against CSK, I think that's the change, the momentum for them, and they could start feeling okay, fine. Now we can also win the match. And I think in the pre-show also I was expecting, they were underdogs, and I said like they can spoil the party for Titans and beat beat their break the jinx of the unbeaten run.
Okay, Joydeep, before I go to Devashish again, clearly with the Sunrisers winning two, it gets very congested at the top. Except an MI and a CSK, almost everybody. It's just like a huddle up there. Anybody can beat anybody. Very close. Net run rate will come into the picture big time. Somewhere somehow this is getting just too congested at the top. Your thoughts?
It usually does. It always does. Very seldom will you see one team running away with it and one team really lagging behind. It'll happen the odd year, but I know KKR have lost out on playoffs 3 times because of a poor net run rate. Twice they came fifth, once they came sixth on the net run rate, although they had the same points as a number four. Point I'm going to make here is it's becoming an eight-team tournament, but Abhijit makes a great point. He says in 3 days, somebody's gone from no wins to 2 wins. Chennai and Mumbai are now out of this one. It's a long tournament, and they will be back. They win next 4 out of 5, 4 out of 6. Anything can happen. And
okay, let me ask you that. Tomorrow CSK plays RCB. Let's set that up. What is the formula? If I ask all of you, Joydeep first, Devashish and Abhijit Deshmukh, in this form, when RCB has all the momentum, looking very good, can a CSK stop RCB? If they have to, what is the formula? Joydeep.
CSK has not played well. They have not played on form. Their batters are not in form. They're missing Rahul Chair. Their bowling is not what it used to be. They're looking depleted. But at the same time, if their players hit form, the players they depend on, the Rituraj Gaikwads, the Raidus, the Robin Uttapas, if they can hit form, this game is played on form. It's not played on paper. It's on form. And right now, unfortunately, the guys who won them the tournament last year are stone cold right now, and they need to come out of the freezer. And that is bound to happen because players of this quality don't stay stone cold for so long. It's just a matter of time before they hit form. And when they hit form, they will strike it hard. And form is not at your beck and call, but when it comes, they will know how to make you pay.
Devashish Sen, can RCB be sort of pushed by the CSK side?
As Sunrisers today showed that you need to win the toss and bowl first. Means if Chennai Super Kings had any semblance of a chance to unsettle the Royal Challengers Bangalore, all they need to do is to win that toss and bowl first. Means you have to post a huge total in order to challenge that RCB batting lineup, which looks ominous as of now, because they have that firepower, and with the likes of Hazelwood and Berendorf joining, we did see the social media handle of RCB that they were going all guns blazing, bowling full steam at the nets. So more firepower to that RCB bowling lineup. So with CSK, as was the case with Sunrisers Hyderabad, they won a good toss. They restricted the Gujarat Titans for around 160, which according to Joydeep is a par score. So all they need is, if they have any semblance of a chance to unsettle the RCB, they need to win the toss and bowl first. Batting first, I doubt, because with the off form of Ruturaj or Ravindra Jadeja, with the batting not coming good, I think the chances of CSK, if they bat first, is minimized.
Abhijit Deshmukh, who are your 4 foreigners for RCB? I mean, Maxwell, Faf, du Plessis and Hasaranga are a given now. You can't change these 3. Who's the fourth? And who do you play?
Well, to be honest, I think that right now all the 4 foreigners they are playing. I think they're pretty good, and I think they can.
I asked you because, for example, Devashish said Hazelwood and Berendorf. I mean, these are the 2 guys they've got in their ranks. Would you go in with one of them, or do you fancy that they will go in with a team that is on a winning canter? They've won matches. Will you go in with a combination that is?
Yeah, I think obviously with the winning combination, I think they're in tremendous form. Be it the bowling department or the batting, they're doing well. I think even the match against Mumbai Indians, the bowling was really good. So I think it won't be much problem for RCB tomorrow if they bat first or bowl first. But the matches between CSK and RCB are very kind of a hardcore thing. It's a southern rivalry thing, and I think anything can happen. RCB clearly favorites on the paper, but CSK also has that potential. what SRH did today and on Saturday. So it just proves like it's a game where any team can defeat any team in the form. But I think favorite is RCB, but won't be surprised if CSK wins tomorrow.
Is Devashish then right, Joydeep? Win toss, is that the formula for CSK? And who are your four foreigners for RCB?
Yeah, I think Winters fielding is the way because with Dew coming in and everything else that's there, that's a given. My four foreigners remain the same because I think the Indian bowling unit has done really well. The Harshal Patels, the Akash Deeps have done well, so I don't feel there's any need to change. Yes, Devashish.
Yeah,
Yeah, Devashish?
but the biggest concern for RCB tomorrow will be Harshal Patel. He won't be available tomorrow for tomorrow's game because his
Yeah.
sister
Oh, his sisters, yeah.
passed away. He is now quarantining. He did join the squad, but he has to undergo 3 days of mandatory quarantine before being available again. So Harshal Patel not in that RCB lineup is a huge blow, huge
Yeah,
blow because
it is.
he has been their bowler
Fantastic.
in.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Joydeep, yeah.
Yeah, I heard that he would be back in time for the game, which is why I was going with this. But since he's not, that changes a lot of things. That brings these two Aussie fast bowlers in the mix because you need your five bowlers to be on song. In fact, the best teams, the Chennais, the Mumbais, they used to have 6, 7 bowlers. Raina would get 3 wickets and not bowl for 4 games because there was no need. So if you look back in the day when Chennai were unbeatable, so if Harshal Patel is not on, which I'm sure he's not now, that changes the equation. Then I think either Josh or Bender will have to come in because you cannot have a weak link in your bowling because there are only 5 bowlers. And somebody like Harshal Patel who does the really difficult job of bowling to the set batsman, bowling at the end, you need somebody, a seasoned pro to replace him. Just anyone can't.
That's a very, very good point by Devashish said. Just for our viewers to recount, Harshal Patel unfortunately, very unfortunately lost his sister. He had to leave the squad. He went home and he's now rejoined again. I mean, thoughts to his family and to Harshal. Look at the man's commitment that he's just been home for a day. He's rejoined his team, shows exemplary commitment on the part of the player. But again, I mean, to lose a dear one, it's hard. It's very hard. So he's undergoing mandatory quarantine. Will miss out on one game. Abhijit Deshmukh, when Virat Kohli, for example, looked excellent in that run chase. Faf du Plessis has looked good. Anuj Rawat all of a sudden has started to look very good. He's gotten that confidence. Again, you give him games like a Ruturaj, like a Abhishek Sharma. These fellows are starting. A point that Joydeep keeps making, that if you're giving people an opportunity, give them 4, 5, 6 opportunities because that is when they start to come good. Your thoughts on an Anuj Sharma, a Shahbaz Ahmed, an Akash Deep. I mean, all of a sudden these youngsters are starting to do it for RCB.
Yeah, I think as I in previous hour show I mentioned, since 2 franchises has been added, it's a wonderful opportunity for all the youngster and even an experienced player, someone like Sheldon Jackson. They are getting an opportunity to play in the playing 11. So I think that's one of the best thing, and I think that's the one of the reason why we see a lot of youngsters like Shahbaz Khan, Tilak Verma's, Saif Darshan, and a lot of others. They're getting chance, and they're making most of the opportunity. So I think this is actually a boon, and I think in the coming matches also they'll perform well. Anuj Rawat played exceptionally well in the last match against Mumbai Indians, and I think it will be again interesting to see how he comes up. But I don't think so. RCB will be making any changes in their batting lineup. I think given the fact they've also played here in the first match where they scored more than 200. One thing I would like to mention here is DY Patel Stadium is extremely big. So, that's what a bit of difference between the matches they've played at the Pune Stadium and the Brabourne and Wankhede Stadium. So, one side of the boundary is extremely large. So, if someone tries to, I mean, he had to be very strong to, hit a six. And, that one of the things where, a batsman has to adjust onto the DY Patel Stadium.
Johnny, last point.
Just to add to that, it's the new openers, the young openers, and the young fast bowlers who need a especially longer rope, because those are two most difficult things to do. When you're asking Anuj Rawat to go and play in the best T20 league in the world against the best bowlers in the world and have a strike rate of 150, you have to give him a long rope because it's not easy. Similarly, when you're asking an Akash Deep to go and bowl to a Rohit Sharma and hold his own in the first 2 overs, give 15 runs or 14 runs, and then come back in 18 and 20 and give another 8. that will take some time to happen. So that's the reason why these young fast bowlers and openers probably need a longer rope than some of the others who bat in the middle order, because these are the two most difficult things to do just because of the skills that you need to survive in this position.
Excellent points made in the show. I mean, Gujarat Titans being stopped today in their tracks by the Sunrisers from Hyderabad, clearly proving how close this league is. Anybody on their day can beat anyone. And a point that all my experts have made. Yes, RCB starts favorites tomorrow. Chennai are the underdog, but the defending champions can come back any moment because they've got some of the top players in their squad. And to quote Joydeep, they can't be stone cold always. Is it Chennai's day? Is it RCB who will keep the winning momentum? How important is that point that Devashish Sen made about Harshal Patel? How crucial will that be for the Royal Challengers Bangalore? Join us tomorrow. But before that, during the day, we got a very special episode of Backstage with Boria with Vinod Rai, where he talks about the MS Dhoni insignia issue. He talks about KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya and what went on, about the women's cricket issue, Mithali and Ramesh Pawar, and of course, the Virat Kohli and Anil Kumble issue at length. That comes to you at 12 noon tomorrow. We start a special series, Memories of the IPL. That also comes your way from tomorrow for the next 5 days, curated by Devashish Sen. Plenty of action, and Abhijit Deshmukh will keep bringing us videos from the ground, color and fans and the flavor. All of that will continue here on this particular platform. Thank you very much, Joydeep Mukherjee, Devashish Sen and Abhijit Deshmukh for joining me. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Good night.